Feeling so good from the inside out. Better than your morning would feel without. Please allow all of these words to enter one ear and out the other for the next hour or so. As we are paying attention to the meanings, not the specific objects of the words, please allow all these words to enter one ear and out the other as we are stretching our self-awareness like an absolute muscle today. My name is Herbie. Good morning. It is 6:31 a.m. on Thursday, September 9th, 2021. You know what that means. You mean it is the Truth Hurts Day. Truth Hurts Day. Today we talk about no more signals on the Truth Hurts days. It's time to have no more signals. The truth might hurt. You've been signaling, but it's time to stop all this signaling because you are worth the time to make a decision. You are worth valuing progress over any kind of movement. You are worth more than confusing movement for progress. So what does that mean? It means that we want to live with no more signals. We want to be way more authentic. We want to be way more integrated, present. No more just signals, these like shallow signals that emit the idea that you're trying on the inside, but not actually attempting, attempting to finish something, finish a job, but rather to be looked at as someone who is now working, but not really thinking about what job they're doing. On Thursday, Truth Hurts Days, we're talking about no more signals on September 9th, 2021 here on Padawan. Welcome back. Please place a candle in front of thy lips that you're trying to not put out. It's just a candle flickering in front of thy lips that you're trying to not put out. And remember to leave your swallowing muscles alone, anchoring that front tip of the tongue to the back, bottom front teeth, and observing your sense of self while not putting that candle. Remember to not put that candle out. And remember, whenever you look at a person, whenever you look at somebody, remember to also, in your imagination, your mind's eye or whatever, remember to also place a candle in front of their lips that they're also trying to not put out. You gotta perceive that they're also trying to not put it out. Why? Observe your sense of self as you do so. And see for yourself. Kind of like that. Eventually makes it there. Again, with me, in your mind's eye or whatever. Just, you could even say it with me or just follow along in your mind's eye or whatever. Pretend there's a candle in front of everybody's lips that they are also trying to not put it out. There's also a candle in front of their lips that they're trying to not put out. As we are stretching our self-awareness every day, every morning like a muscle, there's a candle now in front of everybody's lips that they're trying to not put out. And as we are perceiving that, as we are putting that into our awareness, are we not seeing the truth more of who's actually around us, of who we're actually thinking about? Aren't we seeing the truth more because aren't we more of our actions more than we are our bodies? So are we seeing the truth of what is actually going on more around us as we perceive everybody with a candle in front of their lips that they're trying to not put out? And doesn't the truth create certainty? And doesn't certainty create happiness and freedom? So don't we want to perceive the world closer to the truth, even if it does hurt for a little bit? Don't we want to perceive the world closer to the truth so we have a little bit more certainty so we can have more happiness in our lives? more freedom. More freedom to, switch to something like that. Or if we want, go something like this. And then with certainty, with more truth, by holding people in your awareness closer to the truth of what they are, by pretending there's a candle in front of their lips, don't you have more certainty of what's going on around you? So you know more of what's actually going around you with information, not just visuals. And don't you have more freedom with certainty to even do stuff like this? Don't you have more freedom with certainty? Aren't I able to change these voices because of certainty? I say, it's going to sound similar, just a different voice. Certainty. By holding the truth of what those chords are, by holding the truth of what a human being is, which is a breathing, living being. And when we hold the information of what these beings are we not able to sit still in more certainty with more presentness, more integration, more authenticity of the moment, because what we are in the moment is something more truthful. We're not just looking at vision. Vision is not very truthful. A flat image of the world vision is not very truthful because that's not how we perceive the world. We're constantly thinking about traversing through the world in a 3D sense. So we do not actually perceive the world as being this 2D image, though our eyes are something that we tend to live in. Our vision is something that we tend to prioritize in life in the way that we process and order our information in the world tends to be vision. However, we don't actually think about the world with our vision because our vision is like this 2D sense. But what we think about the world is usually already chunked up into all this data, into all this information about what we can do with the world. A wall is something that you don't walk through. A box is something you don't sit in. A chair is not something you pack clothes in. When you see these things, your brain is already chunking up the information so that you're viewing the world in like a 3D sense already, so that you can actually function in it. This is actually one of the crucial points that Elon Musk is making, that the last step towards making great AI, or AI that we can see as, well, they're trying to make it better than human, right? As they're always trying to do. Humans are always trying to make technology that out-humans humans. Humans are always trying to create God because they feel rejected from God, which is just feeling the front of your shins, guys, so don't worry about it. So throughout history, like we're already trying to improve our technology to the point of being better than humans always. And so Elon Musk's lately the talk is that computer vision is the last thing to finally culminate to make it better than humans. What do they mean by computer vision? This is what they mean. That your vision is this 2D sense that makes it to your eyes, right? Like a TV screen. You're watching your life as a movie. Remember to watch your life like a movie, right? Throw a candle in front of everyone's lips and try to not put out. Leave the swallowing muscles alone and observe your sense of self. Observe your sense of self, like watching your life like a movie. Watching what happens to your body. Not trying to make decisions for the body, but watching what happens to it, what it does, how it feels. So part of feeling our experience is knowing that our vision is this flat thing, but because of what it really, our vision is only helping. It's only assisting in the way that we actually view things. Our actual vision is in our mind's eye or whatever, any Scott Pilgrim fans. In that it's your brain and your mind is able to take this 2D object and then chunk it up into all of these 3D things, like in the distance, like it's a 2D image, like a movie, right? But then you're able to like decide, okay, these squiggly lines are a car, those squiggly lines are a car, those squiggly lines are a street lamp, those squiggly lines are a person. How is your brain able to do those things when they're all just squiggly lines attempting to reach your eyes from virtually the same distance? You don't actually have the ability to reach your hand over there and to confirm that depth, right? To know whether or not those are actually cars or people, or if that's just a flat object. But your brain, thank goodness, so that we can actually watch movies and understand them, is able to look at those far distant images and chunk them up into bite-sized understandable information that even if you aren't over there, you're able to understand how to travel around over there if you were over there. Amazing, right? Your your body, your mind, this window to this godlike experience that you are able to chunk up the world like that with your vision. Why is that important that our brain does that? Well, because it's already doing imaginary things. It's already doing invisible things, is it not? If your vision is looking in the distance and it is able to chunk that information up, all these squiggly lines from the distance that are 2D basically to you, right? It's like a movie screen. Ooh, anything further than like 20 feet is like a movie screen, right? Ooh, you can't see around it. The depth's too far. So why is it important that your brain is able to take all these squigglies from freaking 20 to infinity miles away, right? Stars, and able to chunk that information up from a 2D object that's hitting your eyeball? Why is it important that it can chunk that up into 3D information? Well, because your brain is already doing all these invisible things, right? It's already doing all these invisible magic tricks to make sure you can understand this far vision. It is already doing all these imaginary things that your awareness itself is not flat. Your awareness is very active and it's very 3D as you are chunking up this information and understanding a 3D object from a 2D perception. So you're holding your world already in an awareness that is not vision. It's something more 3D than vision. So the way we just have to adjust that is part of that awareness, part of that perception of that 3D world is that there is a candle. Part of the function. You know how you can look in a distance and see a car and you see what that car does, though you can't confirm that it is a car because it's so far in the distance. Same way, your brain can just assume what humans do by knowing there's a candle in front of their lips that they're trying to not put out. And that's part of their breathing function. In the same way that when you look at a car in the distance, you know part of that car's function is braking, gassing, taking a left, taking a right. But you're nowhere near that car to even confirm all those things. It's just a squiggly line in the distance, right? Same thing with human beings. The way you know about that human being from a distance is a mixture of this vision thing, because now you can acknowledge it, but mostly this internal awareness of what that being does. What that being is helps you understand what the hell those squiggly lines are in the distance. The squiggly lines indicate that it is over there, but you understand its behavior not by being over there, but through yourself by knowing what that thing is in the first place. You know what I'm saying? So with human beings, instead of looking at them as stopping, braking, taking a left, taking a right, the same way you would a car, with human beings, what they do is breathe with the muscles that engage when they perceive themselves as having a candle in front of their lips that they're trying to not put out. As they are anchoring the tip of their tongue to the back of the bottom front teeth, not the back of the throat, because the back 1/3 of the tongue is vertical, up and down, in the back of the throat, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, while the tip of the tongue is anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth. And the same way that a car's door opens this way or whatever, and you know that, or the same way that a car brakes or stops, the same way you know that function. That is the function of these muscles and these placements of these body mappings in the internal of your body. The tip of the tongue is anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth. No matter what vowel you are saying, no matter what consonant you are saying, the same way that the brake pedal of a car, no matter whether or not you are using it, is always attached to that brake pedal, or attached to the brake function. The tip of the tongue is always anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth. And every person out there functions that way. And every person out there also functions with the muscles, also breathes best with their muscles being engaged, that engage when they perceive themselves with a candle in front of their lips that they're trying to not put out. The same way cars are more aerodynamic with an aerodynamic design, humans breathe better when their body is oriented towards reacting towards a candle being placed into perception in front of their lips that they're trying to not put out. When's the last time you've done that? Your birthday? When you were like 7, 6, 8, 25, 500? When's the last time you've done that? When's the last time you've done that when it wasn't there? Try, please, with me. Well, before you take a short break, please pretend that there's a candle in front of thy lips that they're trying to not put out. And remember, it's just part of the human design. Just become aware of it for everybody the same way you become aware of a car and its functions when you see it in the distance. Humans function best by pretending there's a candle in front of their lips that they're trying to not put out. Every human does. And remember to anchor the tip of the tongue to the back of the bottom front teeth. Leave your swallowing muscles all the way the freak alone and observe your sense of self as you're just observing that candle. You're not thinking about inhaling or exhaling. You're just observing the candle. You're not thinking about inhaling or exhaling, just remembering to allow that candle rest. You're trying to not put it out. If you exhale or inhale, that's okay. But just pretend there's a candle that you're trying to not put out in front of your lips. As you observe your sense of self, always anchoring the tip of that tongue to the back of the bottom front teeth. And remember, everyone is doing the same thing, and we will be right back in Power 1 to talk about no more signals. No more signals. We'll be right back. Feeling so good from the inside out. Better than your morning would. Feel without. How art thou doing out there? As we're stretching our self-awareness like a muscle every morning today. How are you doing out there? Are you just kicking off the sheets? Are you feeling so good out there? Are you laying down making some beats? Are you cooking around? Are you cracking eggs and maybe making some eats? Today, we want to talk about no more signals. As in not confusing movement for progress. No more signals. As in being authentic. No more signals, as in staying integrated. No more signals, as in staying present. Why? So that we can be satisfied with life. No more signals, No more signals. No more signals. What are signals? Signals are responses to other human beings to try to tell them something. What are signals not? Signals are not an authentic representation of what somebody is doing on the inside, but rather a projection of what you want people to think about you. No more signals. It's not satisfying anyway, not even for you. No more signals. No more no more trying to no more trying to appear certain ways just for other people. No more trying to appear certain ways just for other people to believe you are a certain thing. Not even wearing things unless you find an authentic reason from within that is independent of how other people will treat you. No more signals. No more wearing things just because of how other people will see you, but only doing things because you feel deep down you should do it, life or death. You should. No more signals. As we are pretending there's a candle in front of everybody's lips that they're trying to not put out, and to leave their swallowing muscles alone as they do so. Living inside out, feeling so good from the inside out. No more signals. No more signals. No more signals. Let's do what we can substantiate truth for, and not because we want to give the impression that we are of a certain type of person. Why would you not want to do that? Because what you are then showing to people as we react to meaning, of course, not object, right? What you are in fact showing people by valuing this projection, this impression of yourself onto them more than you value what you are actually doing for yourself. What you are telling them, the meaning behind the object, is that a people's word, somebody, no matter who it is that it's, regardless, a human's word is stronger than all. A human's word should matter above the authenticity of somebody's life. And you only have your time on earth. You only have your time on earth. So what you spend doing that time ends up being very, very important. As we are placing a candle in front of our lips, why would you never want to place a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out? Why would you ever want to perceive a car as a chair? You would always want to perceive a car as a car. So you'd always want to perceive a human as a human, which a human breathes by placing a candle in front of its lips. They're not trying to put out, as it's just flickering there. They're not trying to inhale or exhale. Inhaling and exhaling happens naturally. Simply focusing on the candle is enough. And trying to not leave it, and trying to not put it out. No more signals. No more signals. No more worrying about the impression that we're giving off over the reason why we are doing what we are doing, our internal reason. No more thinking that it's okay to value the impression that you are kind, that you are nice, that you are a certain amount of generous, that you are a certain amount of caring. No more worrying about whether or not people will misunderstand you. No more worrying about whether or not people will misunderstand you. No more worrying about the impression, because as we always react to meaning over object, if you are valuing the impression of being nice, what you are doing is not actually being nice, but again, valuing the impression of being nice, which is not actually nice, as what you're doing is caring for yourself again. You want to be kind, not nice, whereas nice has more about to do with the appearance, being kind has more to do with the act. You want to be kind. You don't want to be nice. Nice is the appearance of being kind. Nice is the appearance. No more signals. No more valuing the appearance over the substance. No more. Not for the world, not for you. No more. No more. No more valuing the impression. No more wasting time valuing the impression. No more wasting time valuing the impression. No more hurting yourself valuing the impression over the substance. No more digging yourself into a hole while wondering what you're doing wrong by valuing the impression over the substance, by hollowing you out, by focusing on the impression. No more. No more wondering why people are misunderstanding us by using signals to communicate as opposed to what we want on the inside. No more trying to micromanage how people feel about you. No more trying to micromanage how people feel about you. No more caring how people feel about you more than what you are doing for yourself. No more idolizing the approval of people. You are worth the time to make a decision. You are worth the time to do research. No more signals. No more jumping for the impression that you are being nice or being kind. No more jumping for the impression. As we know that the most kind thing you can do is use all of your inner strength, all of your human strength, all that you can do. There's nothing more kind than doing all you can do to resist the temptation of caring about how people feel about you. There's nothing more kind than that, because we all tend to latch onto the idea of life requires people to care about us. But doesn't that spiral you? Doesn't that spiral you into this dependent depression? So as we give in, and as we decide that it is more important to appear kind than it is actually to use all of our human strength to do what is best for us and allow that to be an example of kindness to other people. Are we valuing the appearance more than the actual substance? Are we valuing movement over progress? Are we confusing movement for progress? Are we confusing movement for progress when we value these signals? When we value how we come off to people, when we value the impression that we make onto people more of being a good person, of being kind, of when we value the impression of those more, are we not confusing movement for progress? It's like, hey, we need you to do this job on the double. And your body starts shaking already because you're just trying to show that you're doing some kind of work because you don't want to get yelled at. But doesn't that energy that you are using to try to cover up your embarrassment and try to signal to this person that you're working when there's no actual work being done, doesn't that drain the energy and time that you could have been using to actually think about progress being made? Doesn't energy spent on trying to defend the way that you behave to the outside world because you're caring about how people view you, because you're caring about your appearances and your impression on people, all of that energy that is going towards your body because you're spazzing out, because you're trying to attempt to cater to how people might view you, all that energy in order to defend yourself couldn't have been going towards the progress of this goal already. Instead of going 50-50, couldn't have been going 100 towards this goal instead of sharing that 50 with defense mechanisms about wanting to signal to the world that you are putting in work. But no, you are worth the time. You are worth the time to understand that you are doing work. Even brain work is work. You are worth the time to sit in that spot, to not need to signal to the world what you are thinking. You are worth the time to spend the energy to acclimate towards working on the self, not worrying about signaling to others, but rather spending all that energy rerouting it towards problem solving, towards actual progress, because we're always trying to progress towards something. Everybody is, whether it be money or just lack of boredom. Do we care more about looking like we're working towards those things, or do we actually care more about attaining those things. Lack of boredom, money, our goals. What's more important to us, looking that way or actually getting those things? No more signals. No more doing things because we think people will like us for it. Aren't we being weaker? Aren't we being a weaker example of ourselves when we choose to do things because people won't like me, because people will like me if I do it? Aren't we giving the example that we are idolizing human beings at that point as we're idolizing the way they feel about us more than our actual faculties of reason? Our faculties of reason and our own awareness should be guiding us towards making better choices for ourselves. But if we're using our faculties of reason and awareness to view human beings as the utmost word of whether or not we get what we want, well, doesn't that clash with reality? Isn't that like pretending a chair is a car or a car can fly or that a plane is a submarine? Isn't that all wrong? Doesn't the world actually function based on the world, not just based on how people feel about it? So if we want to be kind, if we want to not be just signaling, shouldn't we have to lead through example? As in, aren't we first leading through example by always pretending that there's a candle in front of everybody's lips that they're trying to not put out? And they're leaving their swallowing muscles alone as they do so. They're anchoring the tip of the tongue to the back of the bottom front's teeth. They're observing their sense of self. No more signals. No more outside twitches just to make it seem like you're doing work. No more wasting energy. No more wasting work on that. No more signals. We'll be right back. smelling so good from the inside out. Better than your morning would feel without. Using some body magic tricks to help us stay authentic, stay integrated, stay present, and stay satisfied in life. Today we're talking about no more signals. No more signals, as in trying to tell people, trying to make the impression on people about something. No more signals, signaling to other people. No more signals, as in no more valuing the appearance over the actual substance. Why do we use signals? Why do we signal that we might be working, right? Like when someone says, hey, you working out there, and your body just jumps up and might not be doing any work, but you're trying to show them on the outside using a signal that you are working on the inside. Right? You want to signal to other people that you are a good person, so you'll do things even if you don't necessarily understand why you're doing it. You're trying to signal to them that you are this good person, that you are favorable to this people. So it all comes from a good place, right? The motive is that you want people to feel that you are conscientious, are compassionate, that you care. Why do we signal, right? Why do we wear masks right now? Why do we signal? Because we're trying to show to the world that we are of a certain type of kindness. The problem is that by wanting to be kind to people, you actually undermine your ability to actually be kind, because what is actually being kind is being a human being, as in using all of your faculties of reason from your vantage point of yourself individually, regardless, and especially independent of how other people feel about you. That is the kindest thing you can do ever, is only move within your bounds, only move when you feel certain that it is right for you, regardless of how people feel about you, because what you're doing is setting an example for everybody else that they should also do the same. And that is the most empowering thing you can do. That is the most kind thing you can do to people, is empower them with strength for themselves, not dependent on you or dependent on how people feel about them. So, no more signals. Should we do things only because people are telling us to, or because we want to signal to them that we are of a certain type of kindness, without actually bringing ourselves to those conclusions using our own awareness? What we are doing is we are saying that we put our lives in the hands of how people feel about us. That is not kind. That is not kind. You are enriching you are improving this idea towards slavery. That is not kind. By telling people, through example, that we should value these signals towards other people, that we are a good person, by signaling these things, that it is more important to signal those things rather than use your own human faculties of 3D reason from your own 3D vantage point to make yourself to any conclusion. What you are doing is not being kind. What you are doing is dragging people towards a disastrous, self-destructive road. That is not kind. That is not kind. What you are doing is idolizing signal. You are idolizing how people feel about you. So what you would end up doing is idolizing signals, idolizing hollowing out the human experience in favor of allowing other humans to see you favorably, because you can't handle not being seen favorably. And this all comes from a good place, because you want to signal that you're a good person. Problem is that by caring more about the signal of a good person, you are now not being a good person, because you are encouraging the degradation. You are encouraging the downfall of the people who are using you as an example, as you are telling them that the signals matter more than actually using your own human faculties of reason. So you're saying that some humans who they care about, some humans that they are aware of, you're saying that those humans are better than them. You are saying that those humans that you are worried about how they feel about you, they matter more than your own decision making. They matter more than you. What you are doing is crippling their soul, their spirit, by valuing signals, by valuing signaling to other people that you are a good person, by valuing the way you appear to other people, that you appear to be a good person. What you are actually valuing is the appearance of being a good person. You are valuing the avoidance of disapproval by other people. You are idolizing you are idolizing peoples. You are making gods out of people. You are saying that somebody's life is dependent on the favorability from some other person. You think you're being kind. You think you're being kind by wearing the mask. You think you're being kind by signaling to other people that you're being kind, but you are actually being awful. On the truth hurts days, please place a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out, and to leave your swallowing muscles alone as you do so. And remember, everybody also has a candle in front of their lips that they're trying to not put out, as they're anchoring the tip of the tongue to the back of the bottom fronts of teeth, always leaving their swallowing muscles alone. And observe your sense of self, always. Why do we even use signals like masks? Why do you even use signals like that? Besides the obvious fact that people want to hide themselves, which is fine, you know, people do that all the time. That's why people just like privacy in general, especially when they can have it, especially in a world right now where like weed is just so prevalent in the world. The desire to withdraw is very high, so it's understandable. But also this idea of wanting to signal to other people that you are a good person, we need to be done with that, because it comes from wanting to be a good person. Well, you want to know how to be a better person than that? Don't use signals. It comes from a good place. Wanting to use signals, to signal to people that you care about them, to signal to people that you care, to signal to people that you are thinking about them, to signal. To signal to people that you care about them. But if you want to actually care about them better, no more signals. To signal to people that you are a kind person, but to actually be a kind person, no more signals. We are constantly signaling to people that we want them to treat us better. No more signals. Treat them better. Treat yourself better. No more signals. You want to signal to people that you are a virtuous person, that you are a charitable being, that you are a good person, that you care about human beings. No more signals then. That's how you actually care about human beings. You want to signal to the world that you are a kind person, that you are a compassionate human being. If you want to actually be kind and compassionate, no more signals. You want to tell people, the world, that you actually love them, that you do care, that in your life, that you do actually care about them. No more signals. No more wearing it just because you want to signal that you're a good person. Only wear it because it is a logical consistency in your own awareness. Independent of how people view you, independent of the consequences of people's approval or disapproval of you. But just for yourself. You want to know how to be a kind person? Do it just for yourself. You want to know how to be a kind person? Believe it just for yourself. As you lead through example, as you show people how to be the strongest version of themselves, that's the kindest thing you can ever do. You want to know how to be the kindest person to everybody you care about? No more signals. Do not care about signaling that you are a good person. Do not care about that. Do the best for yourself. Do not care about whether or not you are coming off as a good person. As in, if it can't stop a fart, it can't stop a virus. We'll be right back. No more signals. No more freaking signals. You want to actually be nice? You want to actually be kind? No more signals. No more signals. Show them what it's like to be a human being. Show them what it's like to be a human being. No more signals. You want to be kind? You actually want to be kind? Lead through example. Show people how to work that body. Work that body. Work that body. Act like you won't hurt nobody. How to work that body. How to work that experience. How to work that experience, that human experience. How do you work it? Not by being dependent on how people feel about you. Those abandonment issues that were inherited, that you've inherited since you were a child, since you were way too young to actually defend yourself. Yes, back then, abandonment meant death. But these days, abandonment does not mean death. So these days, abandonment does not mean death. So valuing signals, valuing the way people view us. If you want to actually be kind to the world, valuing the way people view us or our appearance over the actual substance of what we are doing is not kind. You are not leading through example of the way people will actually overcome suffering in their own lives. But you are hollowing them out by allowing them to think that you should value the way people view you, which is backwards. People will view things the way they do. What's important is what you are doing and allowing the world to take it away. You cannot control how people view the things that you do. So we should not orient our boat based on that, because what you're doing is a wild goose chase then. You are chasing the thing that is chasing. Or rather, you are chasing the after effects. You are chasing the after effects. Should we value the way people view us? And orient our world from the inside out based on how people will view us, as opposed to what we are actually doing, what we actually believe on the inside. And it comes from a good place. Why do we even do that? Why do we value the way people view us? Why do we value signaling to be a good person? Why do we value being compassionate to people? Well, because we do care about them. It comes from love. We care about them. We want them to be around us. But it comes from an unordered and misguided version of valuing people, as in it places the value of ourselves in other people, whereas the value of ourselves should be placed in ourselves if we want to value other people. If you want to show people, if you want to actually be good to people and show them that you do actually care about them, the important thing is to not give in to signals, because that is the truer way to overcome suffering in life, is to not succumb to signals. So should we succumb to signals? We are so influential, as we discussed last week. We are so influential that we cannot help but be an example to others. Whether that be a counterexample or an example. We cannot help but be an example in our actions. So you signal to people that you want to be kind. You signal to people that you want to be kind. Well, what you actually do is not be kind. By signaling to people that you want to be kind, what you actually end up doing is not being kind, because you always are influential. You're always leading through example. So what you're telling people is to live by this flawed version of the rules of the world, this fake version of the world. You are encouraging them to live by that. It might work for you because you might not be touched by all of the negative circumstances that come with following these signals or worrying about signals. Worrying about signaling that you're a kind person, but because you are so influential, you end up not being a kind person because you value the signals of being a kind person. You value the look of signaling yourself as a kind person rather than the actual being a kind person, which is always orienting towards the self, independent of how people are treating you. So as you're so influential, you think that you're being kind by signaling that you're kind. By caring about the signal, you are so influential that you end up telling other people to care about the signal more than you care about the substance. You're signaling that you want to be kind, but you actually end up being unkind. You're signaling that you want to be kind, but by doing that, by caring about the signal of looking kind, you actually end up being unkind. because we're always leading through example, and the example that you're setting is that people should care about the signal more than anything else. Well, that doesn't hold water when you're trying to signal that you're fishing, but you're not actually fishing. You don't actually get any fish. You're just signaling that you're fishing. If you're signaling that you're kind, you don't actually get all the benefits of being kind. You're just signaling that you're kind, but you don't actually get the benefits of being kind. You don't actually get the benefits of being kind, so you end up getting all these people who are frustrated and confused with life. They're like, I'm signaling that I'm kind, but how come I'm being treated like I'm mean? Because that's not kind, that's mean. What you're doing is but leading through example, telling people that they should care about the signal more than they care about the act of being kind. So no, that's not kind, so you're not going to get what the kind things get. You get mean things because that's a mean thing to do. You're teaching them not how to play the game. That's okay. It makes sense. I mean, it's okay. It's a good thing because now you're here today. And now we know. It's always a good thing because now you know. Like pain, right? Pain can always be a good thing because now you know what's bothering you. Or at least you're getting closer to it so you can get rid of it. Or you can orient, or you can fix it. So maybe it's a good thing that we got to this point. Where we thought it was being kind by signaling that we are kind, but you're actually being unkind. Because you're telling people to worry about the appearance of being kind more than discovering what actual kindness might be. We are telling them to worry more about people viewing us as the kindness instead of worrying about what that kindness actually is. Well, don't you lose track of what actually kindness is when you're just looking at how humans are reacting to it? Don't you lose the substance of what actually kindness is? Obviously, as we are valuing the signal of being kind more than actually being kind, which is not kind, it's actually mean, as you're teaching people to not play the game. You're teaching people to not know how to play the game. The world game, the life game, the human game. No more signals. No more signaling you are a good person. No more signaling all those things, because what actually happens, it comes from a good place. You want to signal to be a good person. You want to signal to be a kind person. You want to signal to everybody that you're a nice person. It comes from a good place. You want them to know good things about you, and you want to be kind to them. But you actually end up being unkind because you are so influential, because you are this amazing window to the godlike experience that you are. You are so influential. So by worrying about the signal of being kind, you actually end up being unkind, as you are encouraging people to care more about signals than actual human substance. But the world responds to human substance. Getting what you want in life, actually getting towards what you want in life, requires substance and not just appearance, because appearance is all based on how humans feel. And as we know, humans are always wishy-washy. Humans are always this way and that, especially if they are not all together now, pretending that there's a candle in front of everyone's lips that they're trying to not put out. And that's just how we operate, right? And that's just how we operate. We pretend that there's a candle in front of all of our lips that we're trying to not put out. To leave those swallowing muscles alone. To do so, always observing the sense of self. As you are anchoring the tip of the tongue to the back of the bottom front teeth. Again, pretend there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out. It's just flickering there. And leave your swallowing muscles alone. Just don't think about inhaling or exhaling. Just make sure the candle doesn't go out. It's just flickering in front of your lips, you know? And that's just the human design, so every human has that too. Every human's got the candle in front of their lips that they're trying to not put out. And leave their swallowing muscles alone as they're anchoring the tip of their tongue to the back of the bottom front of their teeth. Or the back of the bottom of their front teeth, sorry. No more signals, guys. It comes from a good place. We want to signal that we are kind people because we do want people to know that we are indeed kind people. But by sacrificing how we feel immediately, like shaking when people tell you to work, right? Like just by trying to show that you're putting in work. By sacrificing all of your human potential towards doing what is best for you, as in problem problem solving from the best of your specific vantage point? Aren't you robbing everyone else of that talent? Aren't you robbing everyone else of your point of view? Aren't you robbing everyone else of your voice, which might actually really matter to somebody? As we are accidentally telling people to care more about how people feel about them rather than how they feel about themselves. By valuing signals, by trying to be like, oh, I want to be a good I want to look like a good person. It takes strength. You have to lead through example. Wanting to look like a good person, wanting to look like a good person actually ends up not making you a good person. And if you want to appear like a good person, it's much easier to just behave as one instead of trying to project an image of one. As projecting an image of one suggests that you are not a good person because you're trying to micromanage other people and how they feel about you. That's not freedom, that's control. That's not freedom, that's control. No more signals. No more trying to control how people feel about you. No more signals. No more trying to appear kind, as we know that kindness actually comes from the acts and not trying to appear that way. And because you are influential, there's no wonder why you want to appear kind, because you are a kind and loving person. You want to appear kind because you are a kind and loving person. Somewhere, you are a kind and loving person. But worrying about the signals of being a kind and loving person makes you not a kind and loving person right at that point. Because you are so influential. Because you are so influential, caring more about the signal of being kind actually makes you not a kind person, because you are leading through example. You are teaching people to live that way, to live the incorrect way of worrying about how people feel about you, rather than arriving to the conclusion using your own beautiful human faculties of reason, which everyone has within. Don't you want to lead through example? Don't you want to lead through example of using your human experience to the highest, utmost? And a lot of people, other followers, do the same. Instead of being locked in the way people feel about you. Thank you for another episode of The Truth Hurts Today. Did the truth hurt today? Did the freaking truth hurt today? Did it hurt today? Did the truth hurt today? It is 7:31 a.m. My name is Herbie. I'm your host. Good morning. This has been Palgo on The Truth Hurts Today. As we said, no more signals. No more signals. Come from a good place. I know you want to be a kind person. If you want to be a kind person, then no more signals. No more signals. Show people how to be. Show people how to. We'll see you guys tomorrow on the Freedom Fridays here on Palgo One. Take care of yourself out there. Feeling so good from the inside out. Better than your morning would. Feel without. Using our sense of the world to make sense of the world. Waking the worlds up. Physically, mentally, spiritually, and then physically again. World peace through individual strength. World peace through individual inner peace. We'll see you guys here tomorrow. Please take care of yourself and remember to place that candle in front of everybody's lips, because that is the human design. Remember, every human has a candle in front of their lips that they're trying to not put out. And leave your swallowing muscles alone as you observe your sense of self. Don't put that candle. Anchor the tip of the tongue to the back of the bottom front teeth.